that if Washingtonians learned that the president's lady was keeping a normal schedule, they would feel more sanguine about the danger of the approaching British marauders. But she received a worried, scribbled plea from her nearby sister Anna. "Tell me, for God's sake, where you are. We can hear nothing but what is horrible here." From the mansion, Dolly peered anxiously through a spyglass with unwearied anxiety. As she wrote her other sister, Lucy, she was thinking, "Mr. Madison comes not. May God protect him." Recoiling from the distant booms of British cannons, Dolly refused to flee until "my dear husband" was safe in her arms. But in preparation, she quickly packed letters, books, valuables, a demijohn of wine, and clothes. Determined to prevent the British from grabbing the life-sized portrait of George Washington, an irresistible battle trophy, she called out, "Save that picture. If not possible, destroy it." She ordered the painting removed from its gilded frame and taken by wagon to a humble but safe roof, thus ensuring her place in American history. The Declaration of Independence, Constitution, and other treasures had already been slipped into plain linen sacks and taken to a Virginia grist mill. Then the Madisons' freedman's servant, James Smith, waving his hat, cantered up with a message from the president. "Clear out. General Armstrong has ordered a retreat." General John Armstrong, Jr. was Secretary of War. Stuffing flatware into her handbag, Dolly and Suki, her enslaved personal maid, were helped into carriages which rushed them and their traveling companions across the Potomac to the wilds of northern Virginia, where she and James had agreed to meet. But Dolly was told that the president could not be found, and she cowered in agony and tears. Part of her fear stemmed from the fact that the British invaders were not her husband's only enemies. Furious at the invasion of their capital, and, in fact, at Madison's whole war, some of his own countrymen had vowed to commit violence against the president if he tried to flee the city. "I hear of much hostility towards him," Dolly had warned her sister Lucy. "Disaffection stalks around us." One American had threatened the president with dagger or poison. According to Paul Jennings, when Dolly was desperately seeking safe haven that night in Virginia, one would-be hostess raged at her, "If that's you, come down and go out. Your husband has got mine out fighting, and damn you, you shan't stay in my house." Back across the Potomac, about 150 British soldiers, the most hellish-looking fellows that ever trod God's earth, recalled one bystander, torched the capital of the United States. At 9 o'clock, spurred on by the British Rear Admiral George Cockburn, soon called the Harlequin of Havoc, with sunburnt visage and his rusty gold-laced hat, the arsonists had laid siege to the limestone building, two still unconnected wings shut down in mid-construction by the war. In the chambers of the House, Senate, and Supreme Court, the enemy soldiers piled up mahogany desks, red morocco chairs, green curtains, and books. Before they lit this tinder with rocket powder, Cockburn sat in the House Speaker's chair and mocked the democratic pretensions of Britain's ex-colonies, demanding of his brother redcoats, "Shall this harbor of Yankee democracy be burned? All for it will say, Aye." Soon the Capitol was enveloped by jagged tongues of orange flame, so searing that glass lampshades melted. Cockburn decreed the raising of his own country's Union Jack, then, riding on a mule, ordered his redcoats to march double file down Pennsylvania Avenue. Demanding their silence to avoid arousing Washingtonians to fight back, Cockburn shouted, "If any man speaks in the ranks, I'll put him to death." One American yelled at Cockburn that if George Washington were still alive, "You could not have done this." The admiral replied that George Washington, unlike Madison, would never have left his capital defenseless, for the purpose of making conquest.